Good morning, everyone. Let me begin with a question. Why do some people rise above, while most remain stuck where they are? It's easy to assume that success is about talent, connections, or even timing. But if that were true, the numbers would look very different. In reality, only about 2% of people ever achieve the kind of success they dream about. The rest 98% don't. So what makes the difference? It starts with why asterisk. The 2% know why they do what they do, not just what they want, but why it matters. They have a reason that pulls them forward when things get hard. And things always get hard. Purpose isn't a slogan on their vision board. It's the fuel behind their discipline, their decisions, and their direction. The 98% often chase what looks good: money, recognition, titles. But when you chase things without meaning, you burn out, you give up, or you get distracted by the next shiny opportunity. Success doesn't come from chasing everything. It comes from committing to one thing that matters. The 2% don't just set goals, they build systems. They wake up early not because they love mornings, but because they've made a promise to themselves, and they intend to keep it. They show up consistently, even when it's boring, even when it's painful. Especially when it's painful, and when they fail. And they do. They don't collapse. They reflect. Failure is not a sign to stop. It's a signal to adjust. But here's something most people miss. The 2% aren't just focused on winning. They're focused on becoming better leaders, better learners, better humans, and that journey of becoming is what actually leads to real, lasting success. The 98% often wait for clarity. They wait for confidence. The 2% move forward even when they're unsure, because clarity doesn't come first. Action does. So, what would it take for you to move from the 98% to the 2%? Start with why, then back it with discipline. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, and every day ask yourself not just, what am I doing, but who am I becoming? Success isn't reserved for the lucky few. It's earned by the intentional few. Choose to be one of them. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't often begins long before the first step is even taken. It begins with purpose. Not a vague idea of wanting to be successful or wealthy, but a clear and compelling reason for why they want what they want. This why becomes the foundation for every decision, every sacrifice, and every moment of resilience. It's what the 2% have that the 98% often lack. A deeper reason that fuels their commitment when things become difficult or unclear. Purpose is not the same as a goal. A goal is an outcome. Purpose is the reason you're chasing that outcome in the first place. The people who consistently succeed don't just say, I want to start a business, or I want to be the best in my field. They understand why it matters to them on a personal level. Maybe it's to create freedom for their family. Maybe it's to solve a problem they've experienced. Maybe it's to prove to themselves that they're capable of more. Whatever it is, their why is so strong that it pushes them through fear, failure, and fatigue. When you start with why, your journey becomes anchored. Challenges don't throw you off course as easily because you're not driven by surface-level motivations that crumble under pressure. You're driven by something internal, something meaningful. That's why the 2% can keep going when most people quit. They've found something worth enduring the hard days for. When motivation fades, as it inevitably does, purpose remains. Think of any high performer, whether it's an athlete, an entrepreneur, a leader, or an artist. Behind their routines, achievements, and results is usually a story, a reason that lights them up, a vision that goes beyond comfort and ego. That's why they work when no one's watching. That's why they practice the basics when they could coast on talent. That's why they stay focused while others are distracted. Their why is not a slogan, it's a compass. In contrast, many people operate with shallow intentions. They chase money, status, or approval, but those are unstable drivers. When obstacles appear, when the money doesn't come quickly, or when the applause dies down, there's nothing left to keep them going. That's why so many people start strong and then burn out or give up entirely. They weren't rooted in anything real. Purpose isn't something you find once and forget. It's something you revisit, refine, and reconnect with constantly. The 2% know this. They build their actions around it, and because of that, their path, though never easy, is always aligned. If you want to join that 2%, don't start with how or what. Start with why, because when you know why, you'll figure out how. And you'll keep going when almost everyone else stops. Success that lasts is never built on shallow foundations. The people who make it into the top 2% don't just chase money, fame, or recognition. They chase meaning. They pursue something that resonates deeply with who they are, what they believe, and the kind of impact they want to make in the world. That's the key difference. While 98% of people are often seduced by what looks successful, the 2% are guided by what feels significant. It's easy to get caught in the trap of surface-level success. We live in a world that glorifies external achievements, cars, titles, followers, flashy lifestyles. And while there's nothing wrong with wanting those things, when they become your only reason for doing something, your foundation is fragile. The minute things get hard, and they always do, you start to question if it's worth it. The truth is, chasing validation or short-term gain rarely sustains long-term effort. Eventually, the shine fades and you're left with the question, why am I even doing this? The 2% approach life differently. They understand that meaning drives momentum. They align their efforts with something personal, something they care deeply about. It could be a mission, a belief, a problem they want to solve, or a legacy they want to leave. Whatever it is, it gives them the emotional energy to push through setbacks, to stay consistent, and to grow through the process. It gives their work and their goals weight, not the kind that slows them down, but the kind that grounds them. When you're chasing something meaningful, you're more likely to stay committed when others quit. You're more willing to do the hard, unglamorous work because you're not just chasing a finish line. You're living out something that matters to you. You find joy in the process, not just the prize. That kind of drive is rare, but it's also magnetic. It attracts the right people, the right opportunities, and the kind of fulfillment that doesn't come from material success alone. The irony is, when you stop chasing superficial success and start doing something meaningful, the success often follows anyway. People respond to authenticity, markets reward value, and momentum builds when you're driven from the inside out. On the other hand, the 98% often follow trends instead of truth. They do things because others are doing them, not because they truly care. They want results without depth. And when the journey doesn't match the highlight reel they imagined, they abandon it and move on to the next quick fix. That's why so many people stay busy but never fulfilled, active but not aligned. In the end, the 2% win not just because they work hard, but because their work is rooted in meaning. They don't just want to look successful. They want to be significant, and that difference makes all the difference. When most people think of success, they picture motivation. The excitement, the drive, the passion to go after big goals. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like a wave. The 2% who truly succeed understand this. They don't depend on motivation. Instead, they build discipline. They create systems, habits, and routines that keep them moving forward, even when they don't feel like it. Motivation is what gets you started. Discipline is what keeps you going. The 98% often wait for the perfect moment, for inspiration to strike, for that I feel ready energy to kick in. But the truth is, those moments are rare. If your actions depend on your feelings, you'll always be inconsistent. And inconsistency kills momentum. That's where most people fall off. They think something's wrong when they lose motivation. They take it as a sign to stop, rather than a signal to lean into discipline. The 2% treat discipline like a muscle. They train it daily. They don't ask, do I feel like doing this today? They ask, what needs to be done regardless of how I feel? That's a different mindset. It's the difference between chasing a dream and building a life around it. They structure their days with intention. They create habits that align with their goals. Over time, those small daily actions compound into big results. Discipline is also about trust, trusting yourself to follow through. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build that trust, and every time you break it, you weaken it. The 2% protect that trust like gold. They understand that self-discipline isn't about punishment, it's about self-respect. It's about showing up for yourself even when no one's watching, especially then. Routines are often overlooked, but they are powerful. The most successful people don't rely on willpower. They design their environment, their schedule, and their habits to reduce friction. They remove decision fatigue. They do the work automatically because they've trained themselves to do it. This frees up mental energy and keeps their focus sharp. Meanwhile, the 98% often burn out trying to get motivated over and over again. They bounce from one burst of inspiration to the next, wondering why they can't maintain momentum. They admire discipline in others but don't practice it in their own lives. They look for hacks, shortcuts, and quick wins, while the 2% quietly and consistently put in the reps. Discipline doesn't feel good in the moment. It's not flashy. It's not always exciting, but it's the price of entry to real success. The 2% accept that. They embrace the boredom, the repetition, the delayed gratification, because they understand that greatness is not built on how you feel today, but on what you do every day. If motivation lights the fire, discipline keeps it burning. And those who succeed don't wait to feel ready. They get up, show up, and do the work, day in and day out, until the results show up too. Most people fear failure. They avoid it, hide from it, or see it as proof that they're not good enough. That's one of the biggest reasons why 98% never reach their true potential. But the 2% who succeed view failure entirely differently. They don't see it as a dead end, they see it as data. They know failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of the path that leads to it. Failure isn't pleasant. It can hurt your pride, test your patience, and shake your confidence. But for those who succeed, it's not personal, it's educational. They analyze it, they ask, what is this teaching me? Where did I go wrong? What can I improve? Every setback becomes a stepping stone. While others are discouraged and give up, the 2% take the hit, learn the lesson, and adjust their approach. They're not afraid to fail because they understand that each failure brings them closer to figuring things out. Think about any major innovation, breakthrough, or success story. Behind it, you'll almost always find a trail of failures, failed attempts, rejections, lost money, mistakes. The difference is, those who eventually succeed didn't let those moments define them. They kept going. They didn't avoid risks just to avoid failure. They took action knowing full well that failure might happen. But growth would happen too. Most of the 98% take failure as a verdict. I'm not good enough. This isn't for me. I'm not cut out for this. That mindset is what holds them back, not the failure itself. They retreat at the first sign of resistance because they were chasing the result, not committed to the process. When you're only in it for the win, failure feels like the end. But when you're in it to learn, failure is just a checkpoint. The 2% understand that resilience is built in those tough moments. They don't waste time pretending everything's perfect. They confront their mistakes head on, take ownership, and pivot. They are students of experience. They know that the world doesn't reward perfection. It rewards persistence. Even more importantly, they don't let the fear of failure stop them from starting. Most people stay stuck in planning, waiting, hesitating, because they want to avoid mistakes. But the truth is, you learn faster by doing and failing than by waiting and overthinking. The 2% take that first step, and the next, knowing full well they'll stumble. They're okay with falling, because they trust they'll get back up. In the end, the ability to fail forward is one of the most powerful traits of successful people. It's not that they fail less, it's that they recover faster, learn more, and keep moving. They turn losses into lessons and lessons into leverage. And that mindset is what allows them to go where most people never do. Most people approach success as a checklist, set a goal, reach it, and move on to the next. But the 2% who truly succeed understand something deeper. Success isn't just about achieving. It's about asterisk becoming asterisk. It's about who you turn into along the way, how you grow, how you think, and how you evolve through the process of pursuit. This shift in perspective is subtle, but it's everything. The 98% tend to measure success only by outcomes. They want the title, the money, the recognition. And when they don't get those things fast enough, they feel like failures. But the 2% measure progress differently. They look at how they're developing, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They know that every goal is simply a vehicle for personal transformation. The real prize isn't the achievement itself, it's the version of themselves they become while chasing it. When your focus is solely on hitting a target, you'll do anything to get there, even if it means cutting corners, sacrificing your values, or burning out. But when your goal is to become a stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself, you play the long game. You're not just building a moment of success, you're building a life of integrity and resilience. The 2% understand that who you are becoming is more important than what you are achieving. Becoming means being willing to stretch, to leave behind the familiar, to face discomfort, doubt, and difficulty, knowing they are shaping you into someone more prepared for the life you're aiming for. It means asking better questions about your habits, your mindset, your environment. It means choosing growth over ego, humility over pride, and effort over ease. This mindset shift creates sustainability. When you focus on becoming better, you're never truly losing. Even if a deal falls through, a plan fails, or a door closes, you're still growing. You're still learning, and that learning compounds. Over time, it becomes wisdom, strategy, and self-mastery. That's what the 2% cultivate. They don't just build businesses or careers, they build character. And that character becomes the foundation for everything else. Contrast that with the 98%, who often want the rewards without the refinement. They chase success without becoming someone who can sustain it. That's why they self-sabotage when they do reach a goal. They haven't developed the identity to hold it. Without that inner transformation, external achievements feel empty or temporary. The 2% play a deeper game. They're not chasing validation. They're chasing growth. They're not proving something to others. They're building something within themselves. And that's why they last. That's why they rise, fall, and rise again. Because success built on becoming is unshakable. In the end, the question isn't just, what do I want to achieve? It's, who do I need to become to achieve it? Ask that, answer it honestly, and commit to the process, and you'll already be moving toward the 2%.